All right, Jason Rona back here in the J Concepts garage for another vlog episode. This time we're here once again with Fred Reap, and we got everybody's favorite subject, Bigfoot 4, the restoration here on the monster truck. And Fred, we finished up a episode, a couple months ago. We talked about how you were kind of finishing things up a little bit, kind of dotting those I's, crossing the T's, dropping off some tires. You needed to get the wheels sandblasted and painted, and all to kind of do the build up to kind of make your date there at the open house. So talk to us, kind of pick up a little bit with where you were at that point doing the drop off, Lonnie and them dropping things off, getting things rolling on the tires and wheels.
Yeah, at this point in time, it was just crunch time to try and get everything done. The Bigfoot open house was getting close. There was still some, several large steps of things that needed to get done. Again, the tires and wheels, they needed a really good cleaning. They needed to go to abrasive sandblasting. Lonnie had dropped them off there. Did a terrific job. Sandblasted them, acid etch primed, and sprayed them the iconic, Bigfoot 4 white color, to go along with the racer stripe. So got that all done. Then we brought the tires and wheels back to Bigfoot 4x4. This is a couple days right before the open house, and spent 4 or 5 hours just absolutely deep soak cleaning those tires. They had about 15 years of grime on them, and they came out great. Those tires and wheels probably haven't been mounted to that truck in at least 15 years or so.
So one of the things you did is you kind of took the opportunity. You got up there a little early. This is prior to the open house that we're kind of building up to, but you got there a little early, and you kind of started digging in on what was left. So kind of walk us through what was kind of left to go before you could kind of bring the truck back over.
Yeah, well, we had the Enforcer bumper that was repopped by Star Creations, a complete fiberglass version. We had some details that needed to be done to it. It was all painted, so we had to drop that off to get wrapped with a chrome wrap. We didn't have it done in time to get down to the chrome shop to get it all chromed down at Spectra Chrome down here in Florida, unfortunately. But we got it all wrapped up. Looks really awesome. We got the KC Light decals in there to show that iconic look. And then we added some Star Creations did a diamond plate cover for the top of it. So in all actuality, this bumper was supposed to be just like a real one. Replaceable ends, and the center section of the bumper and the diamond plate top. Unfortunately, it didn't come out all that way, but I think we pulled off the look, and it actually looks like a true Enforcer bumper now on the front of Bigfoot 4. That was really probably the most major part of the finishing touches that we needed to get done to the truck.
And they spent some time. The body got dropped off. We talked about in the last episode of how Lonnie and them did some tail light, headlight painting, airbrushing. They finished the panels. Went through and filled in stuff, sanded, prime, whatever. Brought them back to Bigfoot, and they put the finish paint job on this body.
Yeah, the decals and all the trimming on it came out awesome. It did come back now to Gateway again, and then we backed the whole body in black like they used to back in the day. And as you can see from the pictures of the truck, it really makes the paint job pop. We don't have different colors behind the bed. The black kind of makes the whole complete package of the body look awesome.
Yeah, when you look up through the wheel wells and stuff, and you look up
right
in there, you're not seeing that white or whatever is the backing
overspray color from the paint on the outside of the body. It cleans up the look really nice.
So this thing was already mounted ahead of time. So basically, once you got done with retouching the inside, Bigfoot painting the logo, the racer stripes, all that type of stuff, once you got that body back, it was just kind of bolt it back on, right?
Yeah, bolt it back on again. Finishing up the black background behind that body, then it can go on the truck. The windshield needed to also be done, so we had a template done for that. The boys got that. The dream team, they jumped in there, got that all cut out. Nice tinted Lexan windshield like they ran back in the day on that truck. So the guys really took their time and really looked at the photos and analyzed this thing and made sure it was as close to as possible the original look.
Yeah, one thing that was also really nice is when you had this body prior to paint, they had mounted the front end and put the holes, on top so you could fit your air cleaner, injector, all that stuff and you went with the stacks for the exhaust setup, and all that stuff had to be cut prior to the paint and then drop it back down on there, and it's a little nerve-wracking, but it really turned out, when he dropped it on there, it turned out really nice.
Yeah, Lonnie and those guys, amazing job, to do the trace pattern to get it. I mean, if you look straight down on that truck, I mean, it is a just perfect proportion outline around it, and you can't get any better.
Yeah. So you moved into, you had to put the racer back on the thing, and then we talked earlier, we got, the one of the iconic parts was, the KC lights on the top. Yeah. So you've been working on that for years. You've been kind of putting together your collection of KCs and the covers and all these items to kind of drop them on there when they're ready.
Yeah, it's really tough. So, some of these things just don't exist anymore, and those iconic KC lights, made that look of that truck, back in the day. You just can't go to the corner store or the auto parts store and pick that stuff up. It took years and years to, trace down some really good lights. We have an extra set of covers if we needed it, but it doesn't come cheap, and it completes the look.
Yeah, and it looks really nice. So we talked. You also went back and you set it up so you could put the flag back on the back. You went with the American flag for the event, but you had to position that, make sure that it was in the back, and kind of that was some of the finishing touches, right?
Yeah, that was all integrated into the rear frame mount for the the body work. So that was all there already. Just making sure everything fit, and got the flagpole made, and just the way it was.
So you get that body on there at the Gateway. You kind of start packing up sort of the details, making sure that everything was going okay. You did have to do a little bit of, you had to do the first start on the engine, different things like that, kind of tune on it a little bit. What kind of went into getting the engine where it was ready to run?
Yeah, there was a couple things went out of adjustment, just turnbuckles and things for the injector linkage and all that stuff were a little loose, so they kind of vibrated out of the way. But we got a couple guys there that are actually experienced with tuning these things, and they were able to button it up and get it ready for the event. And a lot of extra detail work going in. This dust that accumulates. These truck has been sitting for a while, so everybody kind of got together and did a deep cleaning on it. A little polish here and there and touch up, and went through. We actually had a steering cylinder go bad, just from sitting for so long. So Keith Vaught, he was able to come in at the last minute and rescue us there and get that thing rebuilt and put back on the truck, and she was ready to rock and roll.
So you got your first repair before the show, ready to go. Luckily it was something somewhat simple, I guess.
Yeah, something simple, but I mean, you don't know what to expect. A project this big, over the years, it still has some bugs that needs to get worked out, and just people are wanting us to come out and crush cars and do things with it, but you gotta test, and you gotta just like RCs or anything, you gotta test, you gotta make sure it's right, all your nuts and bolts are loose, make sure your engine's tuned, transmission's working right. So once we get all the bugs and spend a little more time on it, now we can actually get the thing going and get it perfect.
So you kind of getting closer to the moment here where you got to do the unveiling, but first you got to load this truck up. You got to bring it down there, about 45-minute drive, right, roughly, from Gateway over to Pacific, Missouri there. So what was it like, kind of went into it as loading this truck up, getting the tires, and kind of, obviously the tires were already at Bigfoot, we talked about that, but the truck itself, getting it over there.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, Lonnie and Jason Childress, they've been doing this for many years before they got into the Mustang business. They really know how to load it and get it, how to work. Gene Patterson also was there, and it was kind of an iconic thing. You finally see that truck back out of the door of the shop, seeing the first day of light again, and it was pretty neat. Trying to step back and actually witness and watch these guys. The passion they have for this truck and getting it loaded, and it's all shined up, looking pretty. It was pretty neat.
So you got this thing on the trailer, and you get, like I said, I talked to Jason, I talked to Gene and everybody, and really recognized that during the time is how valuable their experience, as you mentioned, doing this a lot, because in and out, moving the trucks, getting them on the trailer, making sure they're chained, and load binder down, whatever you're doing there. But this stuff is some of the most critical in the whole business, because if this thing has to be rock solid when you're transporting it anywhere.
Right. You really have to know the basics, and you can't stray away from the basics. You gotta, they're always important. You always got to follow a basic set of rules when you're doing this stuff, and they do it and execute it, and perfect.
So we had several opportunities while you guys were on the road. We got a little bit of that classic footage of the truck going down the road a little bit there, and you and Rich kind of followed behind a little with the run, and got a little bit of footage of the thing on the road, and then kind of approaching the shop. I know Bobby came out personally. He got some footage of you guys rolling in, so it was kind of a nice thing rolling into the shop there.
Yeah, you were gracious enough to let Rich come up an extra day early, and it was kind of important there to actually capture that image of that time of coming out of the shop, getting it going down the road, and it just tells helps complete the story.
So you kind of roll in the shop. What I thought was pretty neat is the day we were there, we had a lot of the staff there from Bigfoot, but we also had the dream team there with you unloading. They had Runty and the crew had made some room for you guys to pull it in the shop and kind of get this thing tired up for the first time. And like you said, it hadn't been tired up for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you really don't get that look until you put the tires on it, and then all of a sudden it kind of gets that look back.
Right. Yeah. It's just Dan Runny and the guys and the whole crew at the Bigfoot shop. They're all more than welcoming to have Bigfoot 4 come back in the shop, and it was tough too, because a lot of the fans, they come in early for this open house event, so we were trying to do our best to actually keep it covered, try and move it in such a fashion that we got it there early enough to where not a lot of people there are trying to be the first one out in social media taking photos of it. But a lot of respect to some of those guys, because there are guys there that did take photos, but they were respectful enough to Bigfoot and everybody that they didn't post them till after, and we appreciate everybody for that, because I think just the unveiling of it, the morning of the open house, it really opened some eyes to people, and they really loved the machine.
Yeah, so like I said, it was great that that there was photos being taken, but at the same time, like you said, it was really a big thing for them not to try to post this stuff before anybody else, and kind of give everybody that same moment when you're able to kind of roll out on Saturday morning. But before that, Dan and the crew there kind of gave you the opportunity to roll this truck out with the tires on, and kind of get in position with Bigfoot 5, and then we kind of rolled it out there into the field. Lonnie, he didn't mind jumping in and driving it, when the time was there. And so talk to us about kind of moving around a little bit and getting those good photos.
Yes, since Lonnie and Jason, they were just taking on this project was just amazing, and it's given to Lonnie. He's the driver for now, and he got in there, and just to move it around. I didn't really actually get to sit down with him and say, how did it actually feel, moving it around, but it was great. I was grinning ear to ear, and what's not to be happy about?
Yeah,
Bigfoot 4's back.
Yeah, it was nice. You got to roll it over there next to 5. We got
an iconic picture there.
We got some great shots with it, with 5 in the background, and then getting it over into the field. Actually where they did the video or the photos of Bigfoot 8 a couple of years ago when they got it finished up and bodied up, tired up. They brought it out there in the field. So we kind of did the same type of position, swapped the angle a little bit compared to the Bigfoot 8 photo, but got it out there in the field and kind of giving sort of that older, the look the way it used to be done when a truck was done, is you bring it out there and you take plenty of photos. So there is nice stuff available before it ever gets ran. Right.
This is his 3rd time being rebuilt, and I don't think the truck has ever looked this good since it was built the first time. John Pine had his big crash in 1990. 1991, the truck comes back. It's all cleaned up again, but I don't think the level of detail that the Dream Team, Lonnie Childress, and all have paid attention to this truck. I mean, it's like a show car underneath it.
Yeah, so you get the truck out there, and then you got to back it back in the shop again. And this is it's a big deal when you're running these things around. I mean, the small time that I had it, you drove a couple times with it, in and out of our shop here. But everyone always asks, hey, do you just go fire this thing up whenever you want and drive it around? But this stuff isn't like that.
No.
You can't, because of the fuel, the specialty fuel, the engine, the way the primer system works. You talked about before. It's a process, and then you have to have people watching. You have to have people guiding you. You have to run the RII, which is the remote ignition interrupt, I believe is what it's called, and to make sure that it's safe. But so you just don't hop in these things and just drive them around. So it's a big thing when you're moving from point A to point B all the time,
right.
And especially when you got the big tires on it and everything else. But back it back into the shop. You got your cover back on. You went back over the tires, cleaned back up again. You got some miles and on those tires, keeping them clean. But
right.
You had your magic potion on there, the Mr. Bubbles or whatever it was, that worked so good. But then we kind of we went back. Everyone kind of got a chance to relax a little bit. The family came in, and then everybody kind of gets going again on Saturday morning. And kind of what was that like to get there early and kind of start that process?
Yeah, it was great. Just again, you move the truck around, tires get a little dirty. You want to shine up for the the unveiling the next morning. Go over the body. We just drove it down an hour on the road, so you get bugs and little spots and a little rain mist on it. So you go back over, you clean the body up nice again, make sure it's perfect. And get all the fingerprints and everything off it. So again, it's a bit of a process. Get it all covered up, and then get ready for the next morning. Everybody. I mean, you were hinting, hey, how's it looking? Just send some photos. I'm not sending photos. I want everybody here. We've put so much time and effort into this thing. Even my family, I didn't even share photos for them. Just wanted them to have the experience of the shock and awe of just seeing it for the first time and say, wow, this is a piece of equipment.
Yeah, and then you get it out of the shop, and then kind of it was arranged with the crew there that they would line up, Bigfoot 1, 4, and 8 together there in the front, which was kind of nice. They're all tired up with the 66s, and so you kind of got your position out front there, and then you can kind of take time and get a lot of photos with everybody that kind of contributed along the way. And former drivers coming in. John Pyant, he came in, obviously is a big part of that truck, along with everybody else. But then you kind of got your moment for Bob and the crew to kind of inspect your work, if
right.
you would, kind of get underneath it and see what was going on. So you got that opportunity. So what was it like checking in with Jim and Bob and everybody that had participated with the truck in the past?
Yeah, the most gratifying thing I think out of this whole project, aside from the money, the hours, and what all the time people have put into this truck, is it brought a smile to Bob Chandler's face.
Yeah.
And he went over that truck, up and down. He crawled under it. He looked at it and just, again, grinning ear to ear. I think, we did the truck justice, and, just to make him happy, the legend that, created this whole thing, and to, bring one of his most iconic trucks back, and, stand it in line, Bigfoot 1, the original, stage 1 monster truck, lifted pickup truck, the bigger axles, the monster truck tires, Bigfoot 4, the second stage, the full military frame, the planetaries on the axles, a purpose-built race truck for, the time period, 1984. And then Bigfoot 8, 89, 1990, winning the championship. Totally, rewrote the book of monster trucks and changed it forever with, with the race tubing and the nitrogen shocks and the, cantilever suspension in the rear of that truck. Just amazing seeing these iconic pieces of equipment staged up again.
Yeah, and they're still around. That's what's great. Obviously this stuff is getting older and older. Obviously when we started, it's been a 5-year project for you.
Yeah.
I believe, we had it here for a couple years, so now we're talking about 7 years.
Yeah.
And then you really add on what when they were originally built, and we're getting way back into 30, 40-year territory here, and that's a long time to keep all these pieces of equipment around, and for someone to care for them between 1, 4, and 8. It was nice to see them all there, and that at one point or another they've all been kind of touched up just a little bit. And I'd say 1 is probably the most untouched of them all at this point.
Yeah, it's probably the most genuine in its current form. They still use it for displays, and trying to keep that patina on it, as the original Bigfoot truck. But just again, seeing them all in line, stage 1, 2, and 3 together again is just, it's amazing, and I think the Bigfoot fans really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it really brought something to kind of look forward to there. We had also the other big event there was obviously Kramer's last ride. He's able to do his last ride, which was really, really cool. There was kind of a great moment there when that was happening. But, between the two and everything combined, it was just a great event overall to be there, be a part of, and to see the truck all finished and restored, back on the tires again, and was really, really neat. One other thing that you had mentioned that you kind of brought us in to talk to Bob a little bit. He had kind of dug out some of his old original CAD drawings of the Bigfoot 4 design that they worked on. This was after the crash,
right?
And he kind of explained some of the drawings, and kind of went into how he kind of learned how to do some of this stuff basically just because he had to, and and then getting into showing what it was like, and then looking at the real truck was kind of neat.
Yeah, no formal training or schooling, to do what he did with these trucks is absolutely amazing. He I can't even imagine what it took, and looking at those drawings and seeing the measurements and the articulation of how a leaf spring works. It's pretty amazing the way they got it done, the way they did, and it works, and it's a proven fact.
Yeah, it's obviously was a nice bump to that vehicle, kind of bridged the gap between a couple. They explained that it was a learning vehicle, learning truck for a lot of drivers, so they could kind of bridge that gap between starting in the leaf spring truck, getting into sort of a mid-range, then going into the the full-on stage 3 type truck. So
right.
A lot of things happen there, and obviously Kramer talking about, I believe he said that's his favorite truck, was 4 when he was running it, and obviously he was there to appreciate it, and he was along with you on many rides, doing different errands through the years here, getting the restoration done.
Yeah, he was helpful, in many forms, trying to track down parts or helping me run parts out, and just can't thank Jim enough. And he actually called up and apologized. I couldn't have been around it more. He congratulated me on the truck. He was just in awe of how Bigfoot 4 came out. But it was Jim Kramer's day. It was bittersweet for me as a fan. It was my first time seeing him live and in person, and it was my last time. So a real bittersweet event. And congratulations to Jim. And amazing to see what that man could do and what he's done for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the face of it there, in that beginning time of being on television and having to compete. Obviously, at the time, winning was important. You had the brands, the Ford, your own brand, and being up front was critical. And you got a little bit of pressure there that you have to hold down. And in those days, he got the job done.
Yeah, he did. And back then, no names on the truck. It wasn't Jim Kramer Bigfoot. They did that on this last ride because, of course, celebrating him. But it was about the truck, Bigfoot. Yeah. Bigfoot was number 1 that night. There was really no mention of the driver unless the announcer brought attention to it. But pretty incredible, and that's how they built the brand.
So going into kind of the event, it's a lot of happening here in one day. It's a lot to do. Morning till night, but you had to bring it in again. The guys, I mean, you got the tires off this thing in about 15 minutes. They had it rolled up, and you brought the trailer over. You got to load the truck again. Get everything packed up and bring it back to a little storage.
Yeah, just again a whirlwind of an event. It's just people say, well, what's it like? It's just, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer you. It's just, you just go in with the moment, and you're just trying to take it all in. But there's still stuff to do. Again, wrapping it up at the end of the day. Still a lot of work to do. Get the tires off, get it mounted. The transport tires and wheels mounted on it. Get it on the trailer. Get it back down the road. Get it unloaded again, and then come in the next day, and we did a wrap up on it. Clean the body again. Go over, make sure everything's all tightened up. The stacks are covered, and the injector has its cover on it, and just make sure it's ready for the next mission.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously people are going to ask you. You might not even know, but kind of in what is the next thing? That's what everybody wants to know. What's next? What are we going to do now? This is the social media age. This is the land of now. You bring it out, you do the display, we drive it in and out of the shop, but what's next? Everybody wants to know, when can I see it again, or what's it going to look like next, or when is it going to pop out? Do you got any plans here, or what do you think is what would you like to see, I guess?
Well, there's still jobs going on in the background, just not necessarily where to put it, how can you store it, what are you going to move it with. So there's still some unanswered questions. We really just wanted to have this done for the Jim Kramer's last ride, an iconic truck that he built the brand on. It was really important to us to try to make sure we got it done for this event. So the big push was for that. Now that it's done, we can kind of catch our breath a little bit, get caught up, and then try and make those decisions. I can't say at this immediate moment where it's going next, but again, Bigfoot 4 is back. It has a bright future ahead of itself. In what form or fashion that it's going to take, we don't know yet, but it'll be ready.
So if anybody wants to reach out to you to, I don't know, maybe discuss the truck, or what's going on, or they're just curious, and maybe there's somebody out there that wants to pay to book you and Bigfoot out there, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, just basically on Facebook, just look me up at Fred Reap, and any sort of bookings or anything like that would have to go through Bigfoot and approval and things like that. So there's a lot more, again, things that have to get worked out in the background. You just can't just go taking this to showing up at any event wanting to run. So again, a lot of things that need to go on in the background, but basically Fred Reap, and we're just making 4 great again is what we've had to document the restoration of this beautiful piece of monster truck history. So or J Concepts, I can hit you up. You know more about the truck than I do, probably.
So we appreciate it, Fred. Obviously the truck turned out amazing. Everyone was super excited. I think it really captures that monster truck look, fit and finish. Now they're a little lower, a little racier, the tires are a little different, but in those days they're a little bigger, a little larger, and I think it represented a good balance between the two. So we appreciate you giving us the updates here from A to Z. And of course, if you like this content, you can subscribe and leave us a comment. Talk to us about Bigfoot 4. We like to read everything that's out there and try to provide some content that's not the same here all the time. So we appreciate it. And Fred, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and just thanks to Bob and Ann Trent. Without you guys and Bigfoot 4x4, the whole crew, everybody there, they helped bring Bigfoot 4 back again. And without everybody's help there, thank you guys so much. Bob and Marilyn Chandler, thank you. I hope we did you all proud on your machine here. So thanks again.
Hey! What is this? What is this?
Hey, Colt.
What is this?
You're last in line for an autograph?
Get out of here! This is Snakebite number 1, not no Bigfoot number 4. You better watch out. I'm coming back. You imposter!